Curiosity is the spark that lights the fire of human progress. It is the invisible force that has pushed us out of caves, across oceans, into the sky, and even into the farthest corners of space. Without curiosity, our world would be static, predictable, and stuck. With it, the impossible becomes possible, the unknown becomes a challenge to explore, and the ordinary becomes extraordinary. That is why curiosity is not just a nice personality trait, but one of the most powerful tools any person can cultivate. And in a world that is changing faster than ever before, it may be the single most important mindset to nurture if you want to thrive, grow, and succeed. Hook 1. Imagine two people standing side by side in the same office. One person quietly accepts the way things are, follows the rules without question, and does their job. The other is constantly asking why, what if, and how could this be better? In just a few years, the second person will likely leap ahead, not because they are smarter or more talented, but because their curiosity fuels growth. Which one do you want to be? Hook 2. Every innovation you see around you, your smartphone, the internet, medical breakthroughs, even the chair you sit on, was born from curiosity. Someone, somewhere, looked at what existed and asked, could there be another way? That simple question changed everything. If curiosity is the driver of every major leap humanity has taken, why wouldn't you want it to drive your own life? Hook 3. Picture a child who can't stop asking questions. Now picture an adult who has stopped asking questions entirely. Which life do you think holds more potential? Curiosity doesn't have to fade as you grow older. In fact, if you learn to keep it alive, it can become the key that unlocks lifelong learning, resilience, and true success. So let's dive into why curiosity is such a critical weapon in your toolkit, how it shapes the way you learn and grow, and how you can reignite your own curiosity to build a future of possibility. First, let's define curiosity in its simplest form. Curiosity is the drive to seek knowledge, to understand something new, to ask questions even when there's no guarantee of an answer. It's the willingness to step into the unknown, even if it feels uncomfortable. Psychologists describe it as a motivation, similar to hunger or thirst. Just like your body craves food, your brain craves information. When you satisfy that craving, your brain literally rewards you with dopamine, the same chemical that makes you feel good when you eat chocolate or hear your favorite song. That's why learning something new can feel exhilarating, even addictive. But curiosity is more than just a feeling. It's a mindset. It's the belief that there is always more to learn, that no matter how much you know, the world is bigger, deeper, and richer than you could ever imagine. And in today's environment, where industries transform overnight, technology evolves faster than we can keep up, and the future is unpredictable, this mindset is no longer optional. It's essential. The people who succeed in the future will not be those who cling to what they already know, but those who remain hungry to keep learning. Now let's talk about how curiosity separates those who stagnate from those who thrive. A fixed mindset tells you that you've reached your limit. I'm just not good at math. I'll never understand technology. I'm too old to learn a new skill. But a curious mindset rejects those walls. Instead of saying, I can't, curiosity asks, how could I? That small shift in language opens doors. It encourages experimentation, risk-taking, and persistence. It transforms failure from something to be avoided into something to be examined. Every mistake becomes data. Every setback becomes a stepping stone. That is why lifelong learners, the people who keep asking questions and pursuing answers, end up rising higher in their careers, adapting faster to change, and creating opportunities others don't even see. Consider this. Research from workplace studies consistently shows that employees who demonstrate curiosity are more likely to be promoted, more likely to be innovative, and more likely to be satisfied with their jobs. Companies like Google and Apple have built their cultures around encouraging curiosity because they know it is the lifeblood of creativity. If you want to stand out in a crowded marketplace, curiosity is your competitive edge. But curiosity doesn't just help you professionally, it helps you personally. Studies show that people who cultivate curiosity experience greater happiness, lower stress, and deeper relationships. Why? Because curiosity invites presence. When you are curious about another person, you listen more deeply. When you are curious about the world, you notice the small wonders around you instead of letting them fade into the background. Curiosity anchors you in the richness of life. It prevents you from drifting into boredom or cynicism. It keeps your brain young, flexible, and alive. Of course, curiosity is not something that just happens. Like any muscle, it must be exercised. And many of us, sadly, lose touch with it as we grow older. Children are naturally curious. They can ask hundreds of questions in a single day. But as we age, society often discourages curiosity. We are told to stop asking questions, to stick with what we know, to avoid wasting time, exploring ideas that may not lead anywhere. Over time, we internalize these messages and our curiosity shrinks. The challenge is to reignite it, to make a deliberate choice to reclaim that childlike wonder and apply it to adult life. So how do you awaken curiosity again? One of the most powerful ways is to start asking questions, constantly. Don't just accept things as they are. Ask why they are that way. Ask how they could be different. When you hear something you don't understand, resist the urge to nod along, and instead dig deeper. Get comfortable admitting what you don't know, because that admission is the starting point of growth. As the saying goes, the wisest person is the one who knows they do not know. Another way to fuel curiosity is to expose yourself to new experiences. Read books outside your usual interests. Talk to people with different perspectives. Travel when you can, even if it's just exploring a different neighborhood in your city. Curiosity thrives in novelty. When you break out of your routine, you open your mind to fresh ideas, and that stimulation reignites the desire to learn more. Finally, practice humility. Curiosity cannot survive in the presence of arrogance. If you believe you already know everything, you'll never feel the need to explore further. Humility reminds you that no matter how much you've achieved, there is always more to learn. This humility transforms curiosity from a childish impulse into a lifelong practice of growth. Curiosity is not just about asking random questions. It is about developing a mindset that continually seeks to expand the boundaries of what you know. In part 1, we explored why curiosity is such a powerful tool and how it fuels both personal and professional success. Now, let us go deeper. How do lifelong learners use curiosity to turn challenges into opportunities? How can curiosity transform stress, fear, and even failure into powerful engines for growth? The answer lies in cultivating curiosity as a daily practice, not as a fleeting spark, but as a sustained flame. When you look at some of the most successful people in history, think of scientists like Albert Einstein, innovators like Steve Jobs, or explorers like Amelia Earhart. They all shared one trait: relentless curiosity. Einstein once said, "I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious." Notice how he didn't attribute his breakthroughs to genius, but to curiosity. This suggests that greatness often lies not in having all the answers, but in being unafraid to keep asking questions. For lifelong learners, curiosity is a compass. It points them toward new directions, even when the path ahead is unclear. One of the greatest powers of curiosity is how it reframes challenges. Most people see obstacles as walls. They hit a problem and stop. But the curious mind sees a wall and asks, what's on the other side? How do I climb it, go around it, or break through it? This subtle shift changes everything. Suddenly, stress becomes a puzzle to solve rather than a burden to carry. Fear becomes an invitation to explore rather than a signal to retreat. And failure becomes valuable data instead of a reason to quit. Curiosity does not erase difficulty, but it transforms your relationship with it. Let's take an example from the workplace. Imagine you've been given a new project that involves technology you've never used before. The fixed mindset might panic. I don't know this. I can't do this. What if I fail? But the curious mindset leans in. What is this tool? How does it work? What can I learn from this? Instead of resisting, curiosity welcomes the challenge. And because you approach the task with openness instead of fear, you not only complete it, you grow stronger in the process. Over time, this habit compounds. Each challenge you face adds to your skill set. Each question you ask sharpens your perspective. This is how curiosity makes you resilient and adaptable in a changing world. But curiosity does not just apply to work. It also has profound effects on relationships. Think about the last meaningful conversation you had. Chances are, it was not when someone lectured you about themselves, but when they asked about you. your thoughts, your experiences, your story. Curiosity builds connection because it signals that you care, that you want to understand. This is why great leaders are often great listeners. They do not assume they know everything. They stay curious about their teams, their customers, and even their critics. By asking questions, they uncover insights that others miss, and they inspire trust and loyalty in the process. Curiosity also fuels creativity. Every invention, every artistic masterpiece, every breakthrough in history began with curiosity. Thomas Edison asked, "What if light could come from a filament inside glass?" The Wright brothers asked, "What if humans could fly like birds?" Curiosity is the root of imagination because it dares to question the limits of reality. When you cultivate curiosity, you train your brain to look beyond the obvious. You stop accepting, "This is how it's always been," and start wondering, "How could this be different?" That is the soil where innovation grows. Now let's address a common misconception. Curiosity is not about being scattered or distracted. Some people think curiosity means chasing every shiny idea, jumping from one topic to another without focus. But true curiosity is intentional. It involves following threads of interest deeply, not superficially. It requires discipline, the willingness to sit with questions, to wrestle with uncertainty, to research, to explore. Lifelong learners are not just dabblers. They are explorers who go beyond the surface. Their curiosity leads them to mastery because they pursue depth, not just novelty. This brings us to an important point. Curiosity thrives when you create the right environment. Just as plants need sunlight, water and good soil, curiosity needs space, time and encouragement. Unfortunately, many workplaces and schools stifle curiosity. They reward quick answers instead of thoughtful questions. They prioritize efficiency over exploration. But if you want to succeed as a lifelong learner, you must push back against this culture. Make time for curiosity. Set aside moments to read, to research, to experiment without pressure. Give yourself permission to follow questions, even if they don't have an immediate payoff. Often, the most valuable discoveries emerge when you allow yourself to wander. For example, Google once implemented a policy called 20% time, where employees could dedicate a fifth of their work week to exploring projects outside their regular duties. Some of Google's most successful products, like Gmail and Google Maps, were born from this practice. This shows that curiosity-driven exploration is not wasted time. It can be the seed of world-changing ideas. On a personal level, you can adopt the same principle. Give yourself curiosity time each week to explore new skills, new books, new hobbies. Even if it doesn't pay off immediately, it expands your thinking, and that expansion will eventually spill over into other areas of your life. Another key to nurturing curiosity is embracing diverse perspectives. When you only surround yourself with people who think like you, your curiosity shrinks. But when you expose yourself to different cultures, disciplines, and viewpoints, your mind expands. That's why many of the most innovative ideas come from people who cross-pollinate knowledge between fields. Leonardo da Vinci, for example, was not just an artist, he was also an engineer, a scientist, and an inventor. His curiosity spanned multiple domains, and it was this breadth that fueled his genius. You don't have to be a Da Vinci to benefit from this principle. Simply reading outside your field, talking to people with different experiences, or learning from disciplines unrelated to your work can ignite fresh insights. Curiosity also demands that we overcome fear. The fear of looking foolish, the fear of asking dumb questions, the fear of admitting ignorance. Many people hold back their curiosity because they are afraid of judgment. But here's the truth. The people who grow the most are not the ones who pretend to know everything, but the ones who dare to ask. Every expert you admire was once a beginner who asked basic questions. By silencing your curiosity, you rob yourself of the very process that creates expertise. So the next time you feel hesitant to ask, remind yourself, curiosity is not a weakness, it is a strength. It is a sign of confidence, not insecurity. Let's look at the science for a moment. Neuroscience tells us that curiosity actually enhances memory. When you are curious about a subject, your brain becomes more receptive to learning. It not only absorbs the information you are interested in, but also retains unrelated information better. For example, if you are fascinated by astronomy and read about stars, Your brain will also remember unrelated facts you encounter around the same time. This means curiosity makes your mind more efficient. It acts like a turbocharger for learning, allowing you to retain more knowledge with less effort. That is why students who are encouraged to explore their curiosity often outperform those who are forced to memorize without context. Finally, curiosity is the antidote to stagnation. Many people feel stuck in their careers or personal lives not because they lack talent, but because they have stopped being curious. They stopped asking questions, stopped exploring, stopped pushing their own boundaries. The way out is not always a dramatic change. It is often as simple as reigniting curiosity. Ask yourself, what am I curious about right now? What is one thing I would love to learn, even if it has nothing to do with my job? Start there. Follow the thread. That small spark could grow into a flame that transforms your life. Curiosity, when nurtured as a lifelong habit, becomes more than a personal advantage. It becomes a force that influences entire communities and even generations. Imagine what society would look like if more people lived with active curiosity. Schools would shift from rote memorization to encouraging exploration. Workplaces would prioritize experimentation over rigid hierarchies. Families would foster open conversations where children are not just told what to think, but encouraged to ask why. At its heart, curiosity creates cultures of growth, adaptability, and innovation. Consider how children embody curiosity naturally. A toddler never stops asking why. They explore everything around them, touching, tasting, testing. They are scientists without knowing. But somewhere along the way, many of us lose this natural instinct. Fear of mistakes, judgment, or failure dulls our curiosity. We start prioritizing the right answer instead of asking the next question. Lifelong learners succeed because they resist this trend. They protect and cultivate the childlike wonder inside them, refusing to let it wither under the weight of expectations. This is why curiosity feels like a return to something we always had, rather than something new we must acquire. One of the most powerful things curiosity does is that it makes life meaningful. Without curiosity, life becomes routine, repetitive, predictable. Days blur together because nothing new enters the frame. But curiosity injects freshness into every experience. A curious person can walk the same street every day and still find something new. A crack in the wall, a pattern in the leaves, a shift in the atmosphere. They see layers where others see monotony. This is not just about noticing beauty, it is about living with awareness. When you are curious, you pay attention, and paying attention deepens your appreciation for life itself. Curiosity also strengthens mental health. Research shows that people who regularly engage in curious exploration report higher levels of happiness, lower anxiety, and greater resilience in the face of stress. Why? Because curiosity shifts your focus outward. Instead of being trapped in cycles of worry, you turn your attention to discovery. Instead of dwelling on problems, you investigate possibilities. Curiosity pulls you into the present moment, grounding you in exploration instead of fear. In many ways, it is a form of mindfulness, anchoring your mind not in judgment, but in wonder. Another vital outcome of curiosity is humility. When you are truly curious, you admit you do not know everything. This humility is not weakness, it is wisdom. It allows you to learn from others, to adapt to new evidence, and to avoid arrogance. Some of the greatest leaders in history demonstrated this humility. Socrates, known as one of the wisest men of all time, famously said, "I know that I know nothing." His greatness was not in having answers, but in being endlessly curious. Lifelong learners embody this same principle. They are not afraid to be beginners, no matter how advanced they are in other areas. This humility keeps their growth alive. But curiosity does more than benefit individuals, it drives the progress of humanity. Every major advancement in science, medicine, technology, and culture has come from someone asking, what if? Curiosity is the root of discovery. Without it, we would still believe the earth is flat, diseases are caused by spirits, and humans are bound to the ground. Curiosity is the reason we explore space, invent vaccines, and create art. Lifelong learners succeed not just because they benefit personally, but because their curiosity contributes to the collective growth of humanity. In this sense, curiosity is not just a personal weapon, it is a gift to the world. For those who want to cultivate curiosity in their own lives, there are practical strategies. First, practice asking better questions. Instead of, is this right or wrong? Ask, what are the possibilities? Instead of, what do I already know? Ask, what am I missing? Good questions are the sparks that ignite curiosity. Second, seek novelty. Read books outside your usual interests. Travel to unfamiliar places. Talk to people with different backgrounds. Novelty feeds curiosity because it forces your brain to make new connections. Third, practice reflection. Take time to write down what you are curious about, what questions you have, what you would like to explore. Reflection transforms fleeting curiosity into intentional growth. Technology, too, can be a tool for curiosity when used wisely. The internet provides access to more information than any human in history has ever had. But the danger is that we skim instead of dive. To use technology for curiosity, resist the urge to scroll endlessly. Instead, pick one question and go deep. Explore videos, articles, podcasts, and communities around that topic. Treat the internet not as a distraction machine, but as a curiosity engine. When used this way, technology becomes a bridge to deeper learning instead of a barrier. Of course, curiosity requires balance. Without focus, curiosity can scatter your energy. Without direction, it can lead to endless searching without progress. That is why curiosity must be paired with purpose. Ask yourself, what matters most to me? What kind of person do I want to become? Then let your curiosity serve that purpose. For example, if you want to become a better communicator, be curious about language, psychology, storytelling. If you want to live healthier, be curious about nutrition, movement, mental wellness. Purpose directs curiosity so that your exploration builds toward a meaningful destination. Another way to sustain curiosity is through community. Surround yourself with curious people, and your own curiosity will multiply. Join clubs, discussion groups, or online forums where asking questions is celebrated, not shamed. Engage in conversations where people challenge your perspective and introduce you to new ideas. Community fuels curiosity because it reminds you that learning is not a solitary journey. It is a shared adventure. In fact, some of the most transformative ideas in history came not from individuals alone, but from communities of curious minds working together. And here lies the ultimate secret. Curiosity is infinite. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you do not know. Far from discouraging, this is exhilarating. Each discovery opens 10 more questions. Each answer leads to deeper mysteries. This is what keeps lifelong learners alive and vibrant. They are never bored because the world is endlessly fascinating. They are never finished because growth has no end. This is why they succeed. Because while others stop learning at a certain age or stage, they keep going, keep asking, keep discovering. So the next time you feel stuck, uninspired, or stagnant, turn to curiosity. Ask one new question. Explore one new perspective. Follow one new thread. It does not matter how small. It could be learning a single new word, exploring a single new place, or asking a single person about their story. These small acts of curiosity accumulate, shaping who you become. Over weeks, months, and years, they transform your life. Curiosity is not a one-time spark. It is a lifelong fire. And those who keep it alive are the ones who thrive, not just in their careers, but in their joy, resilience, and their impact on the world. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this exploration of why curiosity matters and how it can change your life, don't forget to subscribe to Think Fresh Daily. Every day, we bring you fresh insights to help you grow, learn, and succeed. Keep your curiosity alive and let's continue this journey together.